So today, we're gonna be working on a 2022 Yukon Denali. This thing is fresh off the factory floor, but came with an imperfection right from the dealership. So, customer brought it in, they're gonna have us fix this. We're gonna make this thing perfect again. Right here, somebody from the factory or the dealership tried to fix a dent by polishing it. You can see this square right there. We're gonna sand that thing down, block it out, get it perfect, prime it, and we're gonna be repainting this quarter panel. So we're gonna be stripping the window off, all the trim, bumper, tail lights, everything. We're gonna get this thing back to the black Denali perfect machine it deserves to be. What we've got is we've got a dent right here. It's more like a little crease. You have factory texture on a brand new vehicle. These are not flat from the factory. They have dieback, they have pinch, texture, they have all the things that new cars with fresh chemicals have. They took and flat sanded this spot. All they did was amplify the fact that there's a problem in this quarter panel. They never even took care of the dent. Anyway, I'm going to invasively repair this. So I'm gonna use my little acrylic block. I'm gonna follow it up with a foam block. I'm gonna use this with some 180 grit, and I'm gonna find where my problem is, and I'm gonna block until I feel it's done. We might have to use some glaze putty on it. I don't really know yet. We'll find out in a few minutes. And the reason I'm using a little block is I don't wanna get super crazy and scratch the entire quarter panel. I wanna try to keep this kind of small. So, brand new $90,000 Denali, let's scratch it. See that? Right there. See how it's getting white and it's still black? That's our dent. Now we have 180 scratches everywhere. That's because I want it to cut flat. So just keeping my block horizontal, I'm just gonna keep on blocking until we block this sucker out, and then we'll start refining our scratches. All right, so now that we've got it all blocked out, this is why you block. Don't just rip it down, because we have material from the factory to try to work this dent out a little bit. I am gonna glaze it because I've got such a big ring. I don't want this to ring back, but first we're gonna check it. Look at that. See right where your dent was. Wipe it off, get it real nice and clean like. Another trick you can do is wet it up, drag your light across it, and you can see if you have a dent still. And my dent is gone! You can see right here's where the dent was. So as I was blocking, I'm taking the sides down and it's getting lower. That's a low spot, so it's still there. High spots are coming down. We're gonna sand it now with our DA. Get rid of our 180 scratches. Then we're gonna glaze it, then we'll block it, and then we'll sand it again, then we'll prime it. So there's a few steps, but you gotta take the proper steps to do a proper job. All right, so I've got my best tool. We're gonna turn it on so it extracts all the dirt stuff. And we're gonna sand all our 180 scratches out with the DA. Check the work. What we're wanting to do is make sure that those deep 180 scratches are not left. We just have a few right here, there. Now you gotta clean your work again. Everything needs to stay clean. All right, so what we've done here is we've removed our 180 block scratches. Now there's a lot of people out there that have no problem glazing and just filling in those scratches, but 99% of all comebacks are due to improper prepping. So you start putting fillers and you start putting primers and chemicals over sand scratches, it goes like this and it eventually sucks in and you see the scratches. So on black, it's very, very, very critical that you remove and delete all your scratches. So now we're gonna grab some glaze. We're gonna glaze this whole area really, really tight, just super fine. And then we'll block that out with 180, then we'll 320 it again, then we'll mask it up for primer. All right, so now I've got this all palleted up. This is my glaze coat, super thin, almost like it's not even there. And I'm pushing pressure, almost wiping off what I'm actually putting on. Smoothing off my edges. Now I'll just clean it up. Now we'll let that harden up. All right, so now I'm gonna 180 block it with my acrylic. This is the super critical part to make sure things are flat. This is not a one-size-all tool. You gotta know what block you use on what panel. I wanna control this and keep it small. So I'm gonna use my 1 inch by 4 inch block, and we're gonna use some 180 paper and get this thing sanded. All right, so after I 320, I hurry and just hit my edges with some 600, using some red Scotch-Brite just to refine everything. And then the primer's just gonna take care of little imperfections, and this is gonna be straight, like it should be from the factory, with no more dent. Voila! She's ready to be cleaned and masked. All right, so we just gotta bag this up with some plastic real quick, and then we're gonna go mix up some primer. There's no bare metal, so nothing has to be etched. We're just gonna prime this out, then it's gotta sit overnight. Cut your plastic. The primer's mixing, so as soon as that's done, it takes 15 minutes. We're gonna hurry and mix up like 2 ounces and get this thing sprayed. All right, so I'm trying to stay away from my edges. I did a really light coat around them, and then I wet up the center. The way I prime is I prime all the way out, and then I put my next layers over top of the primer. That way you're not encapsulating any of your overspray. All right, now that it's primed, we're just gonna guide coat it. It's gonna sit for a few days until we can block it out, and then we'll get it ready for paint. All right, so we got this all primed up on the weekend. Let it sit. It's actually sat for 2 days. So what I'm gonna do now is I've got some 320 on an acrylic hard block. It's foam back. This is one of my Jason Kilmer custom blocks. All the foam is on this one is gonna be for my finger. So I'm just gonna push on it, get this all blocked out. So I'm not gonna break through the primer. I'm just gonna block it out, and then I'm gonna guide coat it, and then we're gonna prep it with 600. So what I'm looking for is, as I'm blocking, I can still see the guide coat. So I know that my repair is right here. So I'm gonna focus on that. And once I get it sanded to where I know that it's blocked out, then we'll re-guide coat it, switch to 600 wet, and get this thing prepped. All right, so I just put black guide coat over my 320 scratches. So the guide coat is gonna show me where all my scratches are. So when I use the 600 grit wet, I can delete all my 320 scratches. So that's what we're gonna do now. All right, so now I'm just gonna sand this down. I've got my block that's foam, so it's not really rigid. All we're doing is taking scratches out now. So we're gonna hurry and prep this all out. And as I'm prepping it, I'm leaving my masking paper on so it doesn't make as big of a mess. I will start pulling the masking paper off once I get close, but until I'm to that point, I won't do it. All right, so I've got this all sanded. Now I'm just gonna get everything unmasked, and then we're gonna disassemble the entire quarter panel for paint. And we'll get it in the booth, mask it up, and paint it. Just as simple as that. All right, so we've got this all disassembled, sanded. It's in the booth. I've just got to mask it, and then we're gonna paint it. I didn't bore you guys with the sanding because I do realize how much you guys love sanding, but got it to this point. I'm gonna hurry and edge it all out, get it masked, and then we're gonna get it bagged up, pre-cleaned, blow tack and static it, and then we're gonna mix up the paint and shoot it black. All right, so we've got all the toners in, and we're gonna get it reduced out. We'll shake this up, and we'll be in the booth. All right, so we've got the paint all mixed. We've got everything waxed and greased. It's time to blow, tack, and static. Get this thing painted. All right. All right, so we've got our first coat down. We're gonna go out, wait 8 minutes. Let this thing flash, come back in, put a second coat on, let it flash 8 more minutes, then bring you guys back in for the clear. All right, so we've got this all cleared up. It's looking great. There's a few specks of dirt. I'll polish those out in a couple of days, and this thing will look flawless and brand new like it should. Get out of the booth, shut the lights off, and we're headed home. So it is tomorrow. It is the next day. So we've let this sit for 24 hours, and it's time to get it unmasked and get this Denali put back together. As soon as I get it all put back together, we can get it over to the detail shop, they can get it cleaned up, and we can deliver this back to the customer today. I'll start by getting it all unmasked, and then we'll lay out all our parts, figure out which sequence we're gonna put everything back on, and get this thing wrapped up. Can't even tell it's been painted. No line. Now that I've got this all unmasked, we're gonna lay all the parts out so that I can put everything back together. What I like to do is put my parts basically in the location that they go back on the vehicle. So I'll put the splash shield there, we'll get the bracket, the bumper, the moldings, and then we'll actually do the window very last. Probably should do it first, but I don't like urethane, so I'll do it last. You won't be able to take the bracket because I'll have it. I pretty much lied. So I said that the window was gonna go in last, but after setting everything out and really thinking this through, it goes in first. So I'm gonna trim down all the urethane, and then I'm gonna glue it, get it set, and put all my trim around it that'll actually help hold the window in. Okay, there, I admitted it. You wanna make sure and only cut one finger, not two, as you're doing this. I'm gonna lay out the urethane bead. What I've done is I've cut the old urethane off the window and on the quarter panel, and you don't have to do anything because urethane sticks direct to urethane way better than anything. After you set the urethane, slide your window in. Try to wiggle it in, then you flat palm it. And before it fully sets up, I'm gonna put the upper molding in and the back molding to help set the window where it needs to go. I'm not gonna take it. Now that the window's in, I'm gonna put the 3 moldings around it and get those all tied in. On this upper molding, I've got a rivet, so. All right, those are all on. Now we'll work on, actually, while we're at it, we'll hurry and just do this molding, because it's a simple one. So all you gotta do, guide it in, lock those, lock this, lock that. Okay, those are on, making good progress. On General Motors vehicles, they actually rivet these brackets on. So I've got new GM rivets that we're gonna hurry and put in. They're a different style rivet than a normal rivet. So we'll use those, get that on, and we can do the taillight, inner covers, and the bumper. Perfect, thank you. You're welcome. Appreciate it. All I gotta do now is hurry and bolt this up, and this rear bumper will be done. Last but not least, we're gonna put all the bolts in the splash shield, and this thing will be done for detailing. Then it can be washed. Then we can double check it, then it will be done. After it's washed and detailed and double checked. All right, so I've got the splash shield all put in. This Denali is finished. We'll get the detailers to get it all cleaned up, and we'll get it delivered to the customer. Gotta press it right. All right, so we've got this Denali all washed up and looking perfect. All I've gotta do now is dry it off, and then we're gonna deliver it. Now, if you guys like seeing this collision type stuff, let us know. Maybe we'll do more videos on it. As always, we appreciate you. If you enjoyed this video, go check out this one.